Good morning, class. This is Mrs. Maria Vilma Aragones to discuss about week 2 of Understanding Culture, Society, and Politics. For this week, we're going to discuss concepts, aspects, changes of culture and society. Week 2 objectives. Number 1, explain concepts of culture and society and relate it to real-life situation. 2. Trace and scrutinize terms that are related to the study of culture and the society and give examples of such concepts. 3. Analyze aspects of and changes in culture and society. 4. Appreciate the general characteristics of culture as means of enriching our own culture. And 5. Write examples of real-life situations that best describes the characteristics of culture. Let us discuss first the difference between culture and society. So culture is a way of life. It includes the full range of learned human behavior patterns. It is everything that people create or develop. It also includes values, norms, goals, and culture in general develop as people interact with each other over time. Culture also includes beliefs, values, behaviors, and physical objects that create a people's way of life. People create their culture, and this culture in turn shapes their behavior. Society is defined as the organized group of people who share common or related manner of living. So culture is made up of 7 elements. Number 1, social organization, which is defined as the pattern of relationship between and among individuals. As you can say, culture is developed when people interact. So a good example of this are school, business, college, hospitals. So when people interact, it forms a social organization, thereby forming culture. Next is customs. Custom is defined as the practice common to a group of people. Examples includes the use of po and opo, which is customary among Filipinos. Bowing to older people among Koreans. Burping while eating food in Chinese. And taking shoes off before entering the house is customary also to Chinese and Koreans. Number 3, religion. It is a system of faith or worship. Whether Islam, Catholic, Buddhism, a belief in or a worship of superhuman controlling power, especially God, is religion. As you can say, it is a system of faith or worship, forms part of culture. 4, language. Language is a principal method of communication. So the words used by a group of people, whether dialect, jargon, lingo, or even sign language, form part of culture. Number 5, government. It is the governing body of a nation, state, or community, whether monarchy, democratic, dictatorship. For number 6, we have economy. This pertains to the wealth or resources of a country or a region, which may include stock market system or the mixed economy, which is employed in the US, which involves capitalism and socialism. For number 7, we have arts, which includes the application of creative skills and imagination, which may include painting, sculpture, literature. This specific example would include the painting of Mona Lisa or even the book series of Harry Potter. So another examples of culture may include the norms, the languages, the festivals or festivities, rituals and ceremony, holidays, pastimes, food, and architecture. So what are the characteristics of culture? Culture is learned, shared, culture is social, culture is gratifying, culture is integrated, and culture is dynamic. Let us have first, culture is social. Culture is social because it is a product of behavior. Culture does not exist in isolation. It is the product of society. It develops through social interaction. No man can acquire culture without, without association with other. So there has to have an interaction among people in order to develop culture. Culture is learned. Culture is not inborn. It is learned. Unlearned behavior then is not culture. Shaking hands, saying thanks, etc. are cultural behaviors. Not all cultural, not all behaviors are learned, but most of these can be. Combing hair, standing in line, telling jokes, criticizing the president, and going to movies all constitute behaviors that need to be learned. A specific example is the textile weaving in Cordillera. So this is another example is the New Year's Eve, which is celebrated every December 31 and New Year on January 1, while Chinese celebrates it in February. So we learn these examples of behavior are practices we learn from our ancestors and handed down from generation to the next. Through enculturization, every person learned the socially appropriate way of satisfying the basic biologically determined needs, such as food, sleep, shelter, companionship, safety, and sexual activity. Culture is shared. Culture is not something that an individual alone can possess. Culture, in sociological sense, is shared. For example, people of a society share all customs, traditions, beliefs, ideas, values, and morals. When a Filipino migrated to US or other countries, they tend to acquire the culture they have and vice versa. So we have the Filipino adobo, which is also being used up by the US or by Americans. Pancit, which we acquire from Chinese. And also the fashion that we have, which is from the Korean fashion. Culture is transmitted among members of society. Cultural ways are learned by people from others. Many of these ways are handed down from elders, parents, teachers, and others, most likely individuals of older generation, while other cultural behaviors are handed to elders. Transmission of culture is made possible by language. Language is the main vehicle of culture. Transmission of culture may take place also through imitation as well as instruction. Signs, sounds, gestures, and other things are the arbitrarily linked to something else and represent it in a meaningful way. The most common symbolic aspects of culture is language, using words to represent objects and ideas. As culture is being transferred from one generation to the next, we can say that among Chinese, it is being translated from the parents or even from the elders to the younger generation. It is impolite to open gifts when received. Remove your shoes before entering someone's home. You are invited to someone's home, you should always bring a gift to the hostess. When receiving and offering business cards, always do it with both hands and never write on it. Among French, yes, you should always dress well. It is better to be formal than too casual. Do not give anything with number 13. It is bad luck to French people. It is okay to open gifts when received. Handshake is common way of greetings, but friends may greet by kissing on both cheeks. Among Koreans, the culture that is being transferred from the parents to the offspring or from the elders to the younger generation, do not wrap your gifts in green, white, or black colored paper. You should never sign or write anything in red ink. When eating, the elder senior person should eat first. When meeting someone, a person of lower the person of lower status should bow to the person of high status first. Culture is integrated. Culture is continuous and cumulative. Culture exists as continuous process. In its prehistoric growth, it tends to become cumulative. Raplinson called culture the social heritage of man. No culture ever remains constant or permanent. Culture is always changing. It is subject to slow but constant variation. Likewise, culture is responsive to the changing conditions of physical world, hence it is dynamic. Culture is dynamic. Cultures are dynamic systems that respond to motion and action within and around them. When one element within the system shifts or changes, the entire system strives to adjust, just as does when outside force applies pressure. Culture varies from society to society. Every society has a culture of its own that differs from other societies. The culture of every society is unique by itself. Cultures are not uniform. Cultural elements like customs, traditions, moral values, and beliefs are not constant. Culture varies from society to society. As you can see, mouthing in Africa is a culture among them, particularly in Ethiopia and the tribes of Mursi. It embodies beauty and reproductive potential among women. While the neck ring, while tattoo, is also part of the culture of Africa and even developing to be another culture in the Philippines. Next, we also have the neck ring in Myanmar, which is also an indication of beauty and wealth. Culture is gratifying and idealistic. Culture provides proper opportunities for the satisfaction of our needs and desire. Our needs, both biological and social, are fulfilled in cultural ways. Culture consists of the intellectual, artistic, and social ideals and institutions where members of the society profess and strive to confirm. The celebration of Valentine's, weddings, fiestas, and other festivals allows us somehow to be satisfied and fulfilled. For further understanding of the lesson, as part of group discussion, you would have to answer this. If you grew up in your parents' generation without computers, emails, internet, MP3 players or MP4, and cell phones, how would your daily life differ from the one you live today? Answer this and see you again next week for the discussion of another topic. Thank you and good day.